Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Hotline League. It is a really exciting one because LCS is officially back, and going forward, we'll be out of the closet, I think, for the rest of the season. But we did have some closet matches this weekend, and they were some bangers. Some interesting stuff went down. We've got two winners on the show this evening. We're going to be introducing them in just a moment. But first, let me introduce my co-host, Cubby. Cubby, how's it going?
Good. We're hanging out. I did VOD reviews of every series except for the C9 or NRG Shopify one, which was last. And that was the adventurous one, but we're saving that one for later.
Yes, I've heard that
Yeah,
it was an interesting one for sure.
it was. All was good. I'm really happy that LCS was back, because I'm sure these guys were too.
Yeah. All right. And then next up, we have Palafox. Palafox, it's been a bit since we've had you on the show. How you been?
Been doing good, fighting my own demons, trying to play more solo queue because I've been a little bit washed recently, so you know how it goes.
How's the solo queue battles going?
I'm kind of losing to my own mental, but that's just NA solo queue. So
Yeah, that's how it goes. I know. And then we've got, of course, Massu is here. Massu, how's it going?
Pretty good. Doing pretty good. Just practicing, and yeah.
FlyQuest has been is in a pretty good spot these days. How are you feeling about the way that the split's gone?
Honestly, we have won most of our series, but at the same time, I think we haven't been playing very consistent. So while I'm satisfied that we won, um, we still have like a lot more to do.
Yeah. Well, excited to talk about how the split's been going on the show. But first, I want to shout out several of our sponsors, including Kia. I just returned my EV9 today. They came by and picked it up at my place. But I had such a great time going out to Evo this weekend, driving the Kia. Evo was super fun. Shout out to Masu's teammate, Punk, who lifted a trophy yesterday. It was really cool.
Nitro too.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
A good weekend for FlyQuest. But the EV9 was a fantastic drive out there and back, and I'm excited to talk more about that later on. Also, shout out to Prize Picks. If you haven't played Prize Picks yet, I highly recommend you give it a try. If it is available in your area and you feel like you can do so responsibly, it's a really great way to interact with the esports scene, especially the LCS. And as we saw this past weekend, LCS is back, so you can play Prize Picks again this week and every week that LCS is on, as well as a bunch of other things, like if you want to play LCK games or whatever, that's always great. And then NZXT, who's an amazing partner of ours, signed a one-year deal that we announced last month, and they're going to be around for the rest of the season and longer. And they're powering the show right now as I'm using my NZXT desktop to talk to you all. So thank you to all of our sponsors. We'll talk more about them later on in the show. But first off, Palafox, let me ask you, what was it like for you being back I guess I shouldn't say on stage, but in studio this weekend after such a long break?
Honestly, it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. Usually, I don't know how you are about this, Masu, but usually I'm like a little bit nervous. Even though like it kind of shouldn't be. I'm just like a little bit nervous whenever there's a long break.
Yeah, me too.
This time around, it kind of went away pretty fast as we got in the games. But yeah, I was still a little bit there.
Yeah. What do you think it was this time it was less stressful? Was it the space you were in, no audience, or what do you think caused it to be a little bit easier?
The absolute slugfest of a game.
I don't know. I feel like, okay, I kind of looked at how many swarms my opponents were playing, and I was like, damn, this matchup shouldn't be that hard. And it was a little bit too hard, to be completely honest, but yeah.
Well, how about you, Masu? Coming back to the LCS this past weekend, what was the experience like?
I'm the same as Palafox. Usually when I have a long break, I come back a bit rusty and like nervous on stage. But this time around, it was a lot easier. Maybe because of the closet, or maybe because I already had a lot of games
Yeah.
played. So yeah, it was good coming back.
Hey, I was gonna ask both of you, and then I'll toss to Cubby if he has any questions here. But I was going to ask both of you, what was the break like for
Yeah.
each of you in terms of what you were able to learn and pick up, and sort of the experiences that you were having? Because obviously they were a little different in terms of your position and also what you got during the break in terms of practice and experience.
So I guess I'll start. For us, I think that we just needed to kind of be more honest with each other, and what that means is kind of
More toxic.
yeah, being a little bit more toxic, right? But you can't really do that in the middle of the split, because if you're going to play a game next week, usually you're going to have like a week where you just end really hard. Having those breaks lets you kind of let it out a bit more and be like, just make more like team atmosphere shifts into more positive directions. That's like, maybe it'll be more negative for the immediate future, but in like 2 to 3 weeks, it's a bit more positive. And I think that's kind of what we did. We weren't like actually like that toxic to each other, but it was like for the first week, it was like a up, and then it was like down, and then back up, you know.
Gotcha. Yeah, because it was like, okay, now's a good moment to just say everything that's been on my chest, I assume.
Yeah,
You-
somewhat.
Do you feel like that helped you, like just like in the process of practicing for the week? Do you feel like that helped you when you got back on stage this week? Like, what kind of impact did it have on you guys?
I think for our team specifically, like we have a lot of team synergy issues, and you can kind of see that in like the confident
Oh, did we lose?
gameplay. And
Little hiccup
Oh.
there. We
sorry,
lo-
sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. Sorry, you were saying you can feel that in the confidence.
Yeah, I think you can kind of see it in our gameplay. I think you with Shopify, but if you were to go back even in our first couple weeks, like it's even a lot more apparent there, you know. And if we do want to win a championship, if we do want to go further, we do need to like fix those things.
And Palafox, while we throw to Massu, I'll just say your internet seems to be having a little bit of a choke. So I don't know if it's something's updating right now or something's downloading, but maybe take a look into it. Meanwhile, Massu, how about you?
Honestly, I think the experience we got from the past like few weeks was pretty good. Especially personally for me, because we scrimmed a lot of very good teams, and I was punished a lot for many of my lazy mistakes. And just in general, our team play was also punished with lazy mistakes. So we kind of had to clean up. We took the games not like more serious, but like we kind of got reality checked a bit, especially for myself. Like I realized I cannot be playing this way or like being lazy with this thing, because then the best players will punish me really hard. So yeah, I got a lot of good learnings from that.
What this time around, Masu, like going abroad to an event like that, how did that compare to like MSI the first time? And then were there any teams that like kind of caught you off guard that you really enjoyed playing against, or like felt like were stronger than what you might have thought going in?
Uh I guess it did feel a bit different than MSI. It felt more like lax.
Okay.
Um so I was more free, I guess, not as pressured. So I felt like that helped me learn a bit easier, just because I wasn't like pressuring myself super hard. But then in terms of teams, not really any surprises, because we just scrimmed like Genji and BLG, and we got fisted. Like they did as good as I thought they would. So yeah.
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 Well, that's good. Other than obviously the scrims and the practice and everything, were either of you able to find any moments to like relax or reset, or did you get to do anything during the break to kind of, take a moment away from league and from the games and scrims? Palafox.
I guess
Sorry.
Yeah,
Can
you're
you repeat that one more time?
I was asking,
a little
besides
zoned out.
scrimming and practicing, was there anything that you were able to do to kind of reset during the break? Like, I don't know if you went on any trips or you did anything interesting.
Oh no, absolutely nothing. I just played a lot more solo queue. I played like 40 games in 3 days, and then I slept a lot.
Yeah.
I haven't I've been trying to fix my sleep schedule and stuff. So
Nice.
yep.
How about
Not
you,
too interesting.
Massu?
Same with me. We just came back to LA, and then we had 3 days off, I think. So in those 3 days, I just played like a few other games, like hung out with some friends.
Yeah.
That was it.
Nice. Well, we've got a lot to talk about on the show tonight. Least of all were the matches from this past weekend, which I was able to catch up on almost all of them after my Evo trip, and was watching your stream earlier, Cubby, as you were discussing and reviewing a lot of the matches. So pretty cool to go through all of those. But we've got obviously our I guess I would say halfway point of the split, or a little bit further than that. How much more? Let's see. How many more weeks do we have before we hit playoffs?
It's 2, and so that, I don't know, it just feels weird to think about with the huge break, and like now we're in the halfway point, you know.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
only
'Cause I
2
guess
more weeks.
well, it's 3.
It's 2 or 3.
It's
3,
3
yeah,
weekends,
my
yeah,
bad.
because we've
So
got
yeah,
this
we're past it.
July, yeah. So we're just past that halfway point.
My bad.
So, it's just a wild time to see where everybody's at. It does seem as though we've seen kind of this solid 3-team situation up at the top with C9, TL, and FlyQuest. And then NRG, you guys are in solid 4th right now with a 2-win, 2-loss, the only team like that. Then everybody else down in 5th. And then Shopify, who unfortunately has not picked up a single win yet. I got blown up on Twitter. Blown up is a dramatic way of putting it, but Cloud came after me last week for suggesting that Shopify is like a worse Immortals, and it seems like the standings kind of indicate that right now. So I don't know if I agree with the rage on Twitter, but regardless, we had all that to talk about. I guess, Cubby, is there anything else that I'm thinking about or I'm missing besides the games? It's been a long week.
Not that I can think of. I mean, we had new patch this week, as these guys never played on 14.13, and we're on 14.14. Boogie made his debut for this split, I guess. And I don't think there's any other news that's going down in LCS. Yeah.
I mean, overall, just being
like
back,
a
I think,
week.
is the big thing. So.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Swarm came out, which is not something that is not completely relevant to LCS. But what do you all think about Swarm?
It's pretty fun. I like it a lot. It's just something to do, and like when I'm a little brain dead, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can play it with. There's some friends I can't play League with. I can play Swarm with everyone, and that sometimes is nice, you know. So, but yeah, not my style of game. I've played it once, and I'll probably play it a couple more times, but that's probably about it.
Yeah. Well, regardless, we can start to get into things a little bit. I know we might have some people who haven't watched the show before. Cubby, do you want to explain a little bit of how it works, because we haven't done that in a bit?
Yeah, if you guys want to hop on in, talk with Palafox and I believe first-time guest Massu.
Yeah.
You guys can go to Discord, command Discord, or discord.gg/Travis if you want to drop a take at me, at Cubby, and either subtopics or pub topics, doesn't matter. But obviously, if you're a sub, we very much appreciate you over here at TGI. Yeah, I'll drag you into the waiting room. I have 2 takes so far. And so we got a lot of room for callers if people want to call on in. So, yeah, I think that topics in terms of like game related, any like halfway point stuff you want to talk about with LCS or patch related should be fun with these guys. And yeah.
There is considerable space, I think, in the queue for topics this week, just because and this is how it is, I think, whenever we've had a quiet few weeks of LCS, no drama or whatever, and just standard games, we have a little bit more space for calls than we normally do whenever, you know, the sky is falling or we're announcing some merger with another region or some crazy stuff. So it's a great week to talk about the games and the league, especially now that we're at the halfway point. So please go ahead and sync your Twitch and YouTube with the Discord if you are a sub or a member, so you can access subtopics. But again, we pull from both. So there we go. All right. While Cubby is doing that and looking for callers, I do want to just ask Massu really quickly, you know, how has your first year of FlyQuest and LCS and everything been going?
It's been going pretty good. When I first started Academy, well, when I was first told that I would be moving up to LCS, I was like confident in myself, but at the same time I was like kind of nervous and not sure how fast I'll like acclimate.
Yeah.
But it's been pretty good. I think I've adapted pretty quickly. I think I have really good teammates that can helped me learn the game really quickly. So that's a big advantage that I have. And yeah, it's been really fun so far. I really enjoy it.
Yeah. It's been cool to watch you play, and I am excited to see what this FlyQuest roster can do moving
Thank you.
forward. So it's been really fun. Cubby's still grabbing folks from the room, but I do want to give a shout out to Fishy over on Twitch for the Prime, Big Angry Hobo for 73 months, Zemelci for 39 months, and Bernie's Left Nut for the Prime. Over on YouTube, we just got Dustin Anthony becoming a TGI intern, so thank you very much, Dustin. Our first caller of the evening is here. It's VL. VL, where are you calling from?
Yeah, I'm calling from Boston, Massachusetts.
Boston, Massachusetts. And what do you want to talk about on the show?
So I've been a big fan of Palafox over the years, and I was wondering how the loss of Demonte and, in addition, for Massu, working with Arrow has increased his improvement over the year, especially seeing as how when Palafox beat G2, he had a big upward trajectory, and now it's kind of been a downhill spiral now that Demonte is left.
Yeah.
Answering the question, how has it been since Demonte left? I'll just answer it like this. Tanner added a lot of positives to our team that I don't think were people really noticed as much. It's small things like getting everybody talking in the beginning of the day, creating like a really good vibe for everybody. And he didn't just help me, but he helped my teammates like vent and talk about what they needed to. And on top of that, something that a lot of league players don't really have is like social skills and being able to bounce ideas off of somebody without just being like really aggressive to your teammates is really important, right? And I think that stuff is kind of just like, I don't think if Tanner was here it would have really changed too much, but I do think it would have maybe helped like the vibes, and yeah, I mean that would have been good, you know.
Yeah.
You think it's underutilized between the teams? Like Surdy, if he were to come into the league, would you rather him have like a positional coach, and you think that would help him reach his full potential?
I mean, I do think having a positional coach again is like quite good, because so the other things Tanner gave me as a player were like the general greater like macro idea, or potentially like how other people would feel if I did something, or like other people's perspectives. So it does help you get outside of your own role, if that makes sense. Like not everything's about lane, right? And after some point, I think Tanner just helped me have like a good mental and keep on that right path without having a positional coach or anybody to like, hey, you're doing good, or hey, like keep it up, you know. If your team's losing, then sometimes like you start looking for problems that aren't really there. And yeah, I mean it's pretty good to have one.
I really like the question, VL, because I do feel like we don't get a ton of insight into what the coaching situations are like and a lot of the teams and the impact that coaches can have. I don't know, Cubby, if you had something on this topic that you wanted to bring up.
I mean, I was just gonna fire away to Masu because he's got Demonte in his back pocket now, and also I know that Arrow's coming off of like he's 2 splits out of competing. So like, what's it been like having someone to work with in your camp, Masu?
Honestly, in terms of like Tanner or Demonte, like Palafox said, I think he just brings really good vibes to the team. He kind of gets everyone to understand one another. If there's like conflicts between the team, he makes it much easier to communicate them. He just acts kind of like a bridge that kind of connects everything. Um, and then Arrow, like the difference, I guess, for me between a positional and a head coach is the head coach is just like teaching the overarching game and everything between each role and how the like big picture works. But the positional coach actually has like very extensive knowledge on the small details in a specific role. So that's how Arrow has helped me, I think, because he used to be an ADC player. He has a lot of knowledge. He's really good. So he kind of just drops really small details that make a big difference in a game that I pick up on.
Yeah, I mean, Cubby, I think it's been interesting because for a long time people have discussed like, oh, do teams have too many coaches? Or you'll see, obviously that was a huge talking point with NRG or CLG last year. And I think it is very interesting when you talk to players like Palafox and Massu here about the impact that these coaches have on them.
I mean, I think the big thing that like fans just underestimate is how big it is to have someone that has at least like been close to your position on the team, but also has that outside view where they aren't controlling it, so they can kind of talk to you, because they can relate with where you were at, and then use their like intelligence, not only just in the game, but also usually greater social intelligence to help people out. And I feel like it's like telling with what both these guys are talking about. Obviously, like if Tanner, he's a really personable guy, and both these guys will say that too. But sometimes it's more of like that can help you get in the right mind state to compete, rather than like the actual just raw knowledge they can bring to the table. I always said that like with NRG's run, how broken is it to go backstage and you have Soaz to talk to, you have Juves to talk to, you have Demonte to talk to, you have Apollo to talk to. Like all these guys have been in the position of playing on a big stage, and you get to go talk to them, and they have like an outside look at what's going on, can use their own knowledge and like personalities to help everyone on the team. I feel like if handled well, that is a big strength. And I think for any player, like you need resources to like help out behind you. This game changes every single day. So it's really important to have people that are intelligent behind you to help out too.
Yeah, Masu, do you feel like there's enough time between games to be able to like have those conversations at all? Because I know it's very limited, so I don't know how much time you can actually like talk to someone specific, but I think that's kind of interesting.
Honestly, there's not like enough time to fully discuss everything, but usually the game ends, then we go into the, I guess, review room, and the coaches tell us like, oh, you guys, they like they will point big events that happened in the game that changed how the game went, and they will just say, you guys could have avoided this by doing that, or just like kind of give a solution. And we don't have much time to talk other than that, so we just talk about draft and then go into the next game.
Yeah. No, I mean it is interesting to see what the coaches can have as an impact. So again, VL, I really appreciate the call. Is there anything that you want to add here at the end, or any other questions you want to follow up on?
I guess where I relate this to, it's a sports reference, is that in football, every single position has a coach that they go to. And I just wanted to get an insight with Palafox on that Worlds run. When you kind of went back on stage and went back and you're playing all these games, did it help to have a bunch of people to back off, where you had the person that was helping you, but then also kind of had the big picture as well to kind of complement that?
Yeah, I mean on the Worlds run, I think it definitely did help to have like, at that point, I don't really think there was much to like improve on like backstage in that small amount of time. But the things that did help was like going backstage and be like, yeah, I think like you did really well. I think you shouldn't really look for this, or they tell us like, or Tanner would tell me like small things like he did this, so you can look to abuse it, or yeah, just like some small scouting things.
Thanks so much, VL, for the call. Anything you want to shout out here?
Shout out Serdi. Hope he's on another team next year. Hopefully Shopify. And yeah, thank you for letting me call in.
Yeah, thanks so much for the call, and we'll catch you next time.
Phil.
Yeah, see ya.
All right. Off to... Actually, you know what, Cubby? We'll take a quick break right now to talk about NZXT. So NZXT, as I mentioned before, an amazing partner of the show. I had several people message me last week to let me know that they had picked something up during the summer sale, which was really cool to see.
They had a big sale, too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I think you knew somebody who was looking at grabbing something during that sale. So
yeah, I don't know if they pulled the trigger, but they were considering it, because the summer deal was 50% off for like the upgraded model, the player 2. That's what they call it, which was, I mean, that's a lot. Yeah.
So they crushed it last week. But again, there's great value over there all the time. It's really cool to see what they've been able to build. And whenever you all go to nzxt.com, actually, you know what? You'll want to use that link, which is in the description, and I believe we should have it. There we go. Yeah, we do have it as a command in the chat on both YouTube and Twitch, !NZXT. When you do use that link, it's actually really helpful for us because it allows them to track and make sure that they see what's going on. But then it's just a fantastic situation where we really appreciate you supporting our partners like NZXT, because it does a lot to make sure that the show can continue to sustain itself. And as sort of a cool way to give back to all of you with this link, we also have a code which is Travis5, and that will save you 5% off site-wide. So it's just a really awesome thing that they've done, and it works from, again, site-wide. Oftentimes those types of codes are only specific to certain things or certain times, and so the fact that they've been able to build that out for us has been really, really cool. So again, NZXT, they've got amazing PCs. Go pick up a Player 1, Player 2, or Player 3. And if maybe, again, you're not the type of person who's looking to grab a PC that's built out for you, you just want to upgrade some of your own components in the PC that you've already built. They sell amazing things in that area too, including fans, cases, CPU, coolers, power supplies, etc. So please go take a look at nzxt.com/TG. Or actually, it'll be nzxt.co/TG. We got a link in the description. But the biggest thing is to make sure that you use Travis5 at checkout to make sure that you save. They've been fantastic. And I know they are also a partner of FlyQuest. So Massu on the show is repping the NZXT sponsorship as well. So thank you to NZXT for sponsoring the episode. All right. Off to grab the next caller. Also want to give a shout out to Team Liquid, who sent me their new Marvel collection. This is the Deadpool, Wolverine Deadpool stuff that just launched recently. So I got that in the mail and I put it on right before the start of the show. But my buddy Damien helped make that, so pretty cool. Bowen, thank you for the 500 bits. We got Showtime with the Prime, EMBW with a full year, and Tidy Cats Marketing with another year. Thank you to everybody who's subbing over on Twitch, helping us. You know, the break really kills us on things like subs, and so whenever folks come in, that is really cool. All right, we've got our next caller here. Is it Sai?
Yeah, Sai from Florida.
Sai from Florida. What do you want to talk about on the show?
I wanted to talk about how I think the ADC meta is kind of, I know people have problems with like the amount of ADCs that are in the meta right now, but I think it's a lot more entertaining and like interesting to an average viewer than like the normal control mage meta. Just because it's a lot easier for you to see like like the side laning difference because the grub is being added, and like the new team fighting like aspects because of the different carries and stuff. And it's a lot easier for a new player to understand.
Yeah. Cubby, you want to take this?
I mean, I have my own feelings on this. I think that like some 80s are overtuned at the moment. I feel like they're also like systematically. I was like in a weird thread about this where like I made a tweet about assassins being missing and lacking access to tenacity, and how they should be like in the meta if it's mage junglers and marksman mid. And then it was like quote retweeted by Jamada, and then quote retweeted by LS, like which talked about like a bunch of different stuff as to why we aren't seeing that class.
Were they going in on you? Were you getting cyberbullied?
No, not really. I mean, they weren't. I think that a lot of fans were like, we shouldn't give tenacity to assassins, but in the old rune system, you could get 40% for free if you really wanted to, and you just have access to none now unless you go treads. And a lot of the meta right now is building comps where you're put in a really awkward spot right now where there are a lot of games where you're kind of forced between going treads where you might be against like a Sejuani Leona, but you're also against like, you know, 2 marksmen or like heavy 80 damage, so you want to go steel caps. And then when you take like you pair that on top of a Leona, it really accentuates like how strong Leona can be in drafts. So it's kind of weird, like the removal of tenacity and some of the systematic changes they made, I think made it really deadly for the marksman mid, like between absorbed life, the changes they made the boots, and I think they're still working on it. In terms of the meta itself, I appreciate it. Feels like marksman picks are more opened up for the marksman role itself, but these AD mids are way too goddamn strong with the like ramping junglers that get more experience from camps. So I actually think like marksman meta has been kind of fun. I feel like utility, hard carry, and poke is like all viable, but mid meta is like very much constricted because of just the dominant junglers.
Yeah. Massu, you agree or disagree?
I agree about AP junglers being pretty broken. And I agree that I guess yeah, I mean it's fun to watch ADC mids for me, especially because for our team I think Quad is pretty good. Uh and he can pick up champions really quickly, so it's been fun watching him learn how to play stuff like Ezreal. Uh and yeah, just watching everyone in the league play like Ezreal, Zeri, I think it's a nice change of pace, even though it's always been Tristana Corki, which is kind of like similar. But yeah, I think it's more fun personally for me than like Victor or Azir.
Were you given any tips early on the quad about some of the AD mids, Masu, or was he picking them up all right?
No, I think he's just the GOAT.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
Palafox. I mean, feel free to dive in on any of this stuff, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think Gubby hit it correctly. Merc treads are the only tenacity source. AP junglers are broken. AD carry items got buffed, and usually the actual AD carry can't be in the side lane getting the first tower gold or like tower gold in general, but solo lanes are getting a lot more gold, and that kind of just tracks with AD carry items being buffed.
Okay, but the take was that the meta is really good right now.
It's really good. It's honestly, it's just like, I don't know, like, to me it's not as fun because like there's some matchups as like AD carry mids where you're literally playing it to win for the first like 4 levels, and then you're worse than the enemy champion, and it doesn't matter because the second you hit 2 or 3 items, you're now stronger, and your AP jungler got carried through early game, so now he's stronger as well. So yeah. I don't know. It seems a little bit weird.
I personally do not like metas where the default path is to full clear jungle and you can get everything on time. I think that's really bad for the game. Yeah. Like jungle for me is the role where that role is fun when you get to pick and choose like what resources you want, and you have to make sacrifices, but then hopefully you get more for yourself and then your team in return. Whereas right now, you can play Karthus, Syra, Brand, Lilia, and just get everything you want on the map and more. Like, even some of like the Sejuani can complete clears like sub 330 and actually like be there for crab too. I think that the jungle clearing is like it's gotten really fast, and so you can get through a really big part of the game where you are taking push and soul lanes, and then you're just guaranteed to get all the resources on the map that you want, and then you can pick and choose when you fight later on. So I think that as long as it's full clear jungle meta, like the game suffers for it always.
It sounds like you guys don't think that the meta's in a really good place.
Yeah, I don't like the meta right now.
I don't either.
Masu?
Yeah.
I like it a little bit.
Yeah? Okay.
Yep.
Is there? Do you want to defend it?
You can play AP junglers, like that should be playable, but it shouldn't be this. Like they're so oppressive when you get ahead, man.
Yeah, I agree.
Did
They
Masu,
took over.
how do you feel when like a Brand ultis your frontliner and then you die to an E and an R just bouncing on your head?
I mean, of
That's
course.
fun for you?
Yeah, I agree. But usually I have
been
the
abusing Brand,
Yeah,
his teammates
usually I have
on the tech. It's fine.
Yeah.
Dude, it's so fucked up. I don't know.
It is.
Dude, Masu, defend it. You're both of these guys feel like the meta's in a bad place. You say you think it's actually pretty fine.
What about you, Travis?
Well, it's just fine because I have the best carry jungler. Can play these picks like pretty well, so it's fun watching him kill everything from like 2 screens away.
Yeah.
But yeah, I could see how it's like oppressive playing against it.
I mean, I think that the meta has been. I found the games to be pretty entertaining, and so I experienced the game in a very different way. I feel like than people who are playing it competitively do. So like it's always fun for me to compare and contrast like the opinions of the meta on the meta from like pro players and people that have to deal with it or cast it in your situation versus like just getting a chance to watch it. So especially because whenever you get to see like more unconventional champions in different roles and all that type of stuff, it's I feel like it's part of the reason people want to move to like fearless draft and all that. So but yeah, I don't know. I think it's been interesting to see how things have developed, especially with like the live patch and all that type of stuff. So, was it weird, Palafox and Massu, to move to this patch this weekend?
It feels weird in the sense that both like Corki and Tristana got nerfed, and then you don't really get to see other regions like playing new picks. So the meta is a bit like the AD carry mid meta is a bit weird. Like obviously I play like Zeri last week, and then we're like 1-2-3 Lucian banning in LPL. You see some 1-2-3 Lucian or like one pick Lucians, even though like Corki's still up. You know, like I think that nobody really knows what the best thing is right now. But obviously that's part of the adventure. So
when you said sometimes mid matchups are like win 1 through 4, and then you just wait until you're better like 2-3 items, I was like, I almost was like, I should check see if Palafox pointed the Lucian yet. It sounds like he just despises the chat. Like for me, like that just kind of like sums up like a lot of like his matchups right now. You know, I find his priority weird mid. I will say that I feel like some of the marksman mid are being overused. Like I'm also not a huge fan of Zeri mid. I'm kind of out on that pick. I feel like other marksmen can be more impactful in that role, and also just can do more with levels. But yeah, it feels like even the OEC series today between G2 and Fnatic was a banger. Like though, I think the last game there were 8 marksmen that ended up being like banned, and still like 6 that were picked or something stupid like that. It's just way too dominant in the meta right now to play around everything else.
Yeah. Sai, what do you think? What do you make of all this? Because Massu seems to be the only one in your camp. I don't know if you have a defense for the meta.
Okay, to be fair, I do not think that the Fnatic G2 series is a good metric to judge the meta by, because that was like a shitfest. No offense, it was still entertaining. But I just think the AD carries like add a lot to like, I think they're elevated a lot by like the grubs coming into meta and the side landing that you can do, because it's kind of safe to side lane on things like Trist and stuff like that. So I think they add a lot of entertaining options for macro outside of just the normal front to back team fighting that we see when it's like a heavy control mage meta. And then you can also do that sort of like front to back as well with things like the Zeri Senna that we saw yesterday and stuff like that. Is my take. It's a little bit more dynamic with how you want to set up your AD carries, but I understand that it can be like impressive.
Is there any value in that, Palafox?
I mean, I would just say that like there's definitely some boringness in the normal control mage meta, but when it was like Talia Azir, I thought that was pretty fun. I think that like when Corki starts getting added, then it's not really like nearly as fun. And I mean, I can see it being like it's kind of probably cool to watch for the first like couple months of it, but if it keeps happening, I think it's not as fun. Or maybe as a viewer it's fun, but as a player it's not really, like me, it's not really that fun.
It was fun for the first 2 weeks for me, and now I'm done with it.
Yeah. All right, well, Sai, thanks so much for the call. Anything you want to shout out here?
Yeah, thanks for having me. Shout out the Luther College men's volleyball team. And shout out sunny Florida, I guess.
Shouting out sunny Florida. Thank you for the call. We'll catch you next time.
Yeah, thanks.
All right. We are off to our next caller here. Thank you to Tidy Cats Marketing for the Prime. I think I shouted you out, but just to double check there. And then also over on YouTube, Robert Montgomery gifted 5 memberships. Thank you for doing so. And a reminder that we are doing a members only video that I'll have to be recording sometime this week, because we're coming up on towards the end of the month on stuff over on YouTube. And that's a video that I do. I just chat with all of you on a topic that you all vote on, and members of the YouTube channel get to see that exclusively. So thank you for the folks who do become members or get access to see those, because it's pretty cool. Yeah. Cinephoenix says members only video sounds like adult content. Not accurate in this situation. It is visible for all. There's no age limit on it. You just have to become a member, and it's very safe for work. All right. It's funny because Discord messes with the name because I'm in streamer mode. But I see that Zemelci is here calling in. Where are you calling from, Zemelci?
I am calling from London, United Kingdom.
Yeah, I recognize the avatar, so I didn't even need to. I don't need to see the full name. What hour is it in London right now?
It is 3:47, and that's why I don't get to call in very often anymore, because where I'm currently living, usually I can't talk this loud at this late, but for once I have the place to myself.
Well, congratulations. I'm glad that you got it to yourself. And I'm glad you're able to call in. Oh, by the way, have finals tickets gone on sale yet for Worlds? I think those were delayed, right?
Oh no, they have. So this, I've been waiting like years. This could have been a separate call of its own that you would have loved, along with my call that I hate the LoL esports redesign.
Sure.
But which is not my actual call, but you would love.
Sure.
But finals tickets aren't going on sale. They said they're going to release details, I think, within the next month, like in the post where they announced details for the rest of Worlds tickets the week that they went on sale, which is a wonderful Riot Games communication moment.
Yeah, the classic. They've always been so good at ticket sales, so I'm glad to hear that they're continuing that, especially for all the fans that have to book travel and stuff.
They said in interviews with you that they were going to get better at communication, and they would never lie.
Anyway, what do you want to talk about on the show?
My take is that I still believe in NRG to make Worlds. I think they'll ruin someone else's summer, probably either C9 or FlyQuest. So hopefully for Massu it's C9. They'll scrape into playoffs, and then they'll run through playoffs like they did last summer. And then at the end of this, I put #HOPIUM.
Oh, HOPIUM. Okay, so it sounds like you know that this is like you feel as though this is a long shot, the way you're saying HOPIUM.
Yeah. Well, so like no matter who goes to Worlds this year, at least two teams are going to be disappointed. Because you've got C9, TL, FlyQuest, Dig, and NRG. And all of those, I think, are teams that can go to Worlds. But there is an element of this where the CLG line has continued. You must keep the blind faith. But I believe in my GOAT mid laner, Christian Palafox, and I believe that NRG, the regular season has never been our forte. We will slink our way into playoffs. We may even take a little bit of a beating down to the lower bracket, but then it will all begin to click. The pieces that will have been put together across the season will come together, and I think that they can do it. And then, for fun, they'll probably beat LEC again.
Okay, why do you feel this way? Why do you have the confidence?
I mean, for one, it's the same 4 out of 5 players, and whilst the change from Ignat to Huhi did have, undeniably a big impact, as has been talked about by members of the team, at the same time, the previous NRG/CLG roster was one where they were kind of clawing at the doors of greatness for an extended period, and all it took was that one spark in summer playoffs that the pieces that they had been building all caught fire, and that's what put it together. And so whilst it's not yes, this is the odds-on favorite, I also don't think it's an impossible thing to say they can do this again.
Yeah. My biggest concern, I'm just going to pretend Palafox isn't here for a second. My biggest concern is that I do feel like they are further back now than they were then, in terms of what it felt like the skill gap was between them and the teams that were ahead of them. I'm trying to remember back to summer of last year. Maybe I'm wrong, but do you feel like I'm wrong on that, Zemelci?
I mean, I think that's not an entirely unreasonable take. Last summer we had it was the C9 roster who were top of the world, and then Golden Guardians were also pretty good, and then TL got better, but that was the whole like hairy APA situation.
Yeah.
So it definitely was a weaker field.
It was also like that NRG team too. Like you guys were taking down all the top teams and losing all the teams below you in the standings. So it was kind of like, you know, like you were middle of the pack. Like we knew that like NRG could take the top teams, right? And it was like just like, oh, okay, they lost to Immortals, but they're beating C9. It was like it was kind of stuff like that. It was weird. It was fun, but yeah.
Well, they've got 3 weeks of top teams left.
That's true.
Yep.
That's
Yeah,
true.
we do.
Here, before we throw to Palafox for this, Massu, what are the chances that NRG comes in and is able to steal a world spot?
I mean, I definitely think there's a chance. I think maybe I'm a bit biased because when I was still in academy, I watched like the NRG versus G2 games, and I was like filled with hope, you know. So I think like they're able to make a run for it. The chances, I don't think they're that high. I'm sorry to say, but like I do think all of them are good players, and I do think they have the potential to, if they bring it together, to make a good run.
Yeah.
Massu, like community sentiment right now is very strongly that TL, FlyQuest, and C9 are the 3 top teams. You can put them in whatever order you want. It's most people have TL first, but like everyone agrees there's a gap between that and the rest. A lot of people think that Dig is in 4th. Do you also have Dig in 4th? I know that you guys kind of, you know, had a pretty convincing series against them on the LCS stage at least. Or like, do you think Dig has better odds to make a run, or do you think it's NRG that has better odds to make a run? If I'm really gonna put you on the spot.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah.
Personally, I would definitely say I think NRG is more likely to.
Okay.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
Yeah, that's different than what most people would say. So yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
Are you saying
Palafox.
that because Palafox is in the
No,
call?
not at all.
All right, Palafox. What are the chances you make it to Worlds? What do you need to do to get there?
I mean, personally, I don't really think there's. Obviously, community sentiment's going to be a little bit different, but I think that we just need confidence in ourselves because I think that right now, I mean, whether or not other people believe this or not, I think that me and Juan are probably the best like mid jungle in LCS, like when we're actually on top of it. And I think that what we actually have the most problems with right now is like controlling zones and like actually taking winning fights. And what that means is like I feel like sometimes we don't see the winning fight when it's right in front of us, and then we don't take it. And I think our mechanics over the past couple weeks have gotten a lot better. So yeah, I mean, I just think that we need the confidence to actually just fight other teams to the death. There's no reason why the Shopify series should go 54 minutes. It should be over in 25 minutes if we're not like super Omega scared. So
Yeah. What do you think it is about that? It was just a lack of confidence that led that series to go so long?
Like when I say lack of confidence, I really just mean like seeing angles where enemy team is like inting. Like this is not LCK, this is not LPL, this is the LCS where a lot of people are making mistakes, and like there's one moment in or like a lot of moments really in these games where like if we're willing to like pull the trigger like immediately, we'll just win the game. And I think you can kind of see that we're like a little bit scared around Baron, a little bit scared around like the enemy's walking at us. What do we do? So I think it's just practicing that, and I think that we can actually make worlds pretty easily.
Kevin, what do you?
I
what do you
will
think?
say, I think some caution around Baron might have been an improvement to some of the flips you guys have had, because I do think like you've had a couple series where you've had winning positions and it just hasn't gone your way around Baron. Like thinking back to the 100 Thieves series, like I think that you guys actually had winning spots in those games. So I think that if you guys can level that up, that's big. And also with FBI's pool, like you guys have been a little bit more keen to put him on the Jhin Senna, which I think is really playable in this meta, and it's been good to see. But that doesn't help with Baron times either. There's like a lot of comps right now. You can just melt with Zyra Brand and chill. So
yeah. I mean there is definitely like some we were playing like Zyra against I don't even know which team. It was either FlyQuest or I think it was FlyQuest actually. And I was
Yeah.
like, hey, let's just skip our camps and set up around Baron, and they can't do a single thing about it. And I think that we just kept like not doing anything, and like for me as a player, it makes me impatient because I'm like, why aren't we just like winning the game here? Like, why aren't we just hitting Nash and making them come into us? And like, if you think about how other teams will respond, they're gonna be like, oh fuck guys, they're hitting the Nash, like we have to go, right? And a lot of teams don't actually have the ability to be like, all right, let's wait, let's walk in, who's gonna go first, right? And I don't know, it feels like we're kind of just like acting like the enemy team's gonna make the perfect decision all the time. And yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm a bit impatient, so
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Zemelci, for the call. I'm really hopeful that we do see NRG sort of pick up the spirit that they had in Summer Split of last year, and we maybe get a really cool playoffs run. Is there anything that you want to shout out here at the end?
Oh well, Cubby had another thing which he said he maybe wanted me to bring up, but I don't know what that is like time wise.
Oh, it was just about the
face-off space.
yeah, the face-off space.
The-
Want to hear about that, Trav?
Yeah.
If you want to say something really quick on it, I think we've got time.
I basically just that I think that given that it has now been used for the finals time this week, I think it's worth reflecting on the success of its use and that it was a big part in the LCS being able to return to weekends.
Yeah. So for those that are not familiar about with what Zemelci is saying, it's the colloquially referred to as the closet. So the closet that they shove us in whenever Valorant is doing anything really.
You mean having their split finals?
Yes. Well, I just mean it's not just been their split finals; it's been other times.
Oh,
too.
well, also their week one.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. I guess it's a good question, Palafox and Massu. Like, what are your thoughts on the closet? It feels like mostly people haven't cared as much as time has gone on, or some people have even said this is kind of nice. Like, what's the final assessment? I think Palafox, you were the one that gave the interview at the start of the split where you were kind of shitting on it, right?
It was Zazel right off the bat.
Oh, Zazel, right?
That was it was pretty funny.
Sorry, I pulled a Worlds 2022 moment there with who's this player again? But Palafox, what did you think of the broom closet over time?
Honestly, it's kind of funny. The first time, or we played against TL in it like last year.
Yeah, last
and yeah, I felt a little bit like bad about this. Like this is some, it's just a weird interaction. Like you take off your headset and you're like laughing. You're like, nice, we won, right? And the enemy team's just sitting there. It's so silent, and you're just looking at them like, oh, it's kind of weird. And I remember we'd just be like TL, and I told AP, I was like, hey, you shouldn't have done this, right? And I realized like, obviously we just played a game, so I probably shouldn't say that.
Yeah.
But he was a good sport about it. I was like, oh shit, my bad on that.
But it's just the strangeness of being in an empty room with these people.
It's so silent. Like it's so weirdly silent, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So overall, okay, besides like the goofiness of it, what is your assessment of it? Like, would you be disappointed if they said they were going to do more of it next year?
I'd be a little bit disappointed. Well, it depends on what the reasoning for it is. I'd be fine for it being like 1 or 2 weeks, but I'm not really a fan of like the big like 3-week breaks that have been happening and that being the reasoning for it, you know, or like the things around that being the reasoning. But yeah.
Massu, how about you? How's the closet been?
Honestly, I like it. Though I could obviously like it's pretty disappointing for fans to not be able to watch, not to be able to come. But for me, it's like pretty nice. It's like kind of secluded, so I can just kind of zone in. But like Palafox said, you're very close to the other team. So like even in our last series against Immortals, like I heard Ole yelling look like 3 seconds before he engaged on my jungler. So that might be an issue. it. But
that is not great because I feel like
I
they
think
were
Riot
supposed
refs
to.
want to hear that.
You're supposed to have like audio stuff that dampens that, so it sounds like in that room you guys can hear each other.
I mean, there was a lot of white noise, and I think he was just like really loud. Like he
Okay.
was pretty excited. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that is that. I mean, I find that pretty concerning to hear. So hopefully they can figure that out. But yeah, I see people in chat saying bring back booths. Can you imagine just like that tiny little room with 2 booths in it? You just be putting people into little boxes.
Honestly, Travis, I was an OG pro boother. And the reason why is that I really like how in Dota, because they have booths, they gather around one PC for draft. I actually think it's really cool seeing that. I would very much prefer that to everyone sitting at their own computer.
If you remember the big plastic dividing screens that they used at the height of COVID, just those in front of each team's desks. Absolute perfect solution. No problems.
I don't think that actually does much. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, as I think about it, it feels really not great that you guys are able to hear the other team in that room. That's concerning for sure. By the way, Cubby, on the booth front, I don't feel like they need to all be around a table. Like, can't you just do that also if everybody gathers around one computer to draft? Can't you just do that in person anyway? Why do you need a booth?
For the
to
more
do that?
scuffed feeling.
Oh, you like the more scuffed feeling.
Well, everyone like has like on stage, everyone sits in their seat with their headphones in, and the coach just like walks behind them. I actually like in Dota, oftentimes you'll see like the player captain or the coach sit down at the PC, and everyone will like talk through ideas. I actually think it's like a very human element to it. When I coached collegiately, I've got a good picture of me all drafting around like the same computer with my team. I really liked it. Everyone's like, I feel like there's more energy for ideas when everyone is not in front of their own PC. So yeah, I was actually very pro that.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, Zemelci, for the call. Anything else you want to shout out?
I have a Twitter account at Zemelci. I've been thinking about starting a blog called Outside Esports, which would be an inside esports style blog, but from the perspective of I'm not someone who actually has any sources. I just listen to a lot of interviews and read a lot of things and follow both League and Valorant, which I like to believe gives me a unique perspective. And if enough people actually express interest in it, then I will finally write the blog post on why Valorant isn't Riot's golden child, and League needs to get over its older sibling syndrome, because I don't think I'm ever going to get to do that cool on this show.
I don't think that it's that. I don't know. Does Cubby reject that when you try to call in on it?
I mean, that was my third listed topic.
Yeah.
It's usually not the most pertinent topic, but
I do kind of like it because I kind of agree with that, not to get sidetracked, but I kind of agree with it and I kind of don't. It feels really bad that we keep, like, Valorant is never in the closet. We are always in the closet.
We need to unite against our mutual enemy, Riot Games.
Yes, that might be fair. But, yeah, I don't know. On the other hand, I also know that people don't always realize how little Valorant gets. Like, for instance, their finals take place in the studio all the time, so... I get that.
Yeah, their entire season is truncated for League of Legends. Like,
I don't think it's truncated for League of Legends.
I mean, it is. The Valorant season is truncated to fit in Champions because Champions has to end before Worlds begins.
Okay, yeah, that is true. I do know that there's like, or at least I've heard that there is like a rule that they can't have like major events in either sport happening at the same time. Which I think is so stupid.
It's the Dark Day rule. We encountered it with the Masters Madrid Grand Finals as well, where the Riot rule, which I agree with you that I think it's a bit nonsense. But to be fair, I'm the counter argument to this because I do watch League and Valorant, and if they had both on, I would have to choose between the two.
Yeah.
But the Riot internal rule. And I believe this has been explicitly confirmed, is when one is having an international grand final, you can't have the other on. How they're going to manage that when they add in things like 2xKO is another question. But
yeah, I think it's goofy, but it is what it is. All right. Either way, thank you, Zemelci, for the call, and we will catch you next time.
Thank you for the
very much.
copium.
All right. Couple things here. One, before we take our next sponsor break, I do want to mention that we do have some more space I see in the waiting room for takes. Cubby, it looks like you're still looking for a couple. So if you have been trying to get on the show for a while, this is a good episode to do so because it's been a quieter week or so. And so we'd love to have you put your take into the subtopics or pleb topics channel, and then make sure that you're in either the pleb calls or sub calls chat, so that not pleb calls or sub calls channel, so that we can pull you in later on. But before we get into the next caller, I do want to take a quick moment to shout out Prize Picks. And what's really cool is I would recommend, if you are interested in checking it out, look in my Discord. We were just talking about Discord. There is a Prize Picks channel. Now, if you're thinking about signing up for Prize Picks, really quickly, please make sure you use my link when you sign up, or use code Travis so that I get credit. We're trying to see how many we can get, and then we're going to try to talk to them about having them come in for Worlds so that I can attend at least some of Worlds and have a coverage partner for that. But if you do sign up, please make that first deposit. That is, I think, the biggest thing in terms of helping us see if we can get to Worlds. All that being said, there's a Prize Picks channel in the Discord where people have been sharing some of their lineups that they've been picking in Prize Picks. And I wanted to shout out King Manchi, who last week had a 3-pick lineup. King Manchi predicted that Blabber would get over 12 kills in their match. I think in the first two games, or two matches, that 2 maps is the way they call it by their games, that he'd get more than 5.5 kills. He got 12. King Manchi also predicted that Jojo Piana and Berserker would get more than 16.5 kills combined in the first 2 games. More than 16.5. They got 20. And then that Boogie would get over 2.5 kills in the first 2 games. Boogie got 9. So King Manchi just crushed it. It was a $25 power play. Ended up winning 125, so up 100 on that. So congratulations to King Manchi on that. But this is the way it works, right? Is that you're picking more or less on some options that they're giving you. You can go check out Prize Picks. If you do so, you can use the link in the chat, which I will share right now. And also there's one in the it should be, if you're looking at YouTube, you'll see it in the description, and you'll also see it on podcast platforms. But that would be super cool if you sign up, make your first deposit, and you can join King Manchi. But please go check out that Discord if you do want to get some advice or some understanding of how it all works. You have some questions, or if you just want to share some lineups that have either won or lost. It's a fun way to kind of get more engaged with the games that are happening, and to feel like maybe you have a little bit on the line, $5 or so, whatever you want to put in, whatever makes sense for you. But we do appreciate Prize Pick sponsoring the show. And again, congratulations to King Manchi for the big win this past weekend and for crushing the play that they made. So either way, on to the next caller. Cubby is off to grab them right now. But thank you to ppdoc for gifting a sub to Palafox. Thank you to everybody who chooses to sub. Yeah, this is a big moment for Palafox, I think. Obviously, the win this weekend felt nice, but being gifted a sub is pretty nice. Greg in the chat says, random, but my favorite Palafox story. At the studio on a random tech day, one of our refs were in the hallway talking, and one was complaining about solo queue and how he had some rough teammates. Palafox was walking past into a new room, and he stopped, turned around, and said, "Nah, you're just bad." Wow,
that's a weed trolling right there, Palafox.
Palafox, that seems like you need. I feel like you want the refs to like you, and that seems like a bad strategy.
Sometimes you just gotta lighten things up,
Yeah. All right. Anyway.
Yeah.
We've got our next caller here, Mr. Fish. Mr. Fish, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from sunny Orlando, Florida.
Orlando, Florida. What do you want to talk about on the show?
So it's a long one, so bear with me. So I believe Riot should be more lenient with third-party events and give the opportunity to more event organizers to host League of Legends events. Not necessarily only for Tier 1, but also Tier 2 teams teams that don't make MSI Worlds, etc., they don't get the opportunities to play internationally and strengthen themselves. So if they finally win like their regional, then when they show up to an international event, they don't have that experience. And this would also give an opportunity to not have super long breaks between regionals for those teams that are missing out on the international. And an example would be LEC, who in their current format have 3 teams that will have played their last game for the year on June 30th, which is Heretics, Vitality, and Rogue, and potentially Carmen Corp if they make it out of playoffs before reaching a higher area for their points. But besides the point, this would allow for them to have a chance to play at more internationals and get more opportunity to strengthen themselves up, where they aren't waiting until January of 2025 to play their next opponents for their regional league. And then you could also add this into tier 2 teams to play, so that way it could also strengthen the regional leagues, as it would develop that talent for when they make it to tier 1 and allow for that opportunity.
Yeah, I have a couple of questions here. One, do you think that tournaments or like third-party organizers would want tier 2 teams in their events? Like if I'm IEM, I want LCS teams. I probably don't want tier 2 teams, right?
Yeah, but like there is a theory where like if you had Disguised participate, like that could be good for the TO that's making it. Ultimately, you probably want to get the best competition you can have in it, but like if not, like finding big brands to compete. Like let's say if like what if Sentinels wanted to make a league team for one event, right? I feel like that'd be pretty appealing for a TO to include a brand like that.
Yeah, what if Mr. Beast finally wanted to make a league team and get into one of those, you know?
Yeah, I feel like if Mr. Beast wants a league team, he's going to be getting into like a major league. But where in the schedule would you put these again? Sorry, I know you kind of referenced this, but just to confirm.
So obviously Riot holds all the power, and they wouldn't want those going on during their major national events. But so maybe you could hold it similarly like to a December timeframe, or just fitting in between the internationals, but obviously not messing up with their regionals, which is why you also could allow the tier 2s, because they aren't always participating in internationals or really at all. I mean, like they play their regional challengers and then that's it. So that's kind of why I also included the tier 2 in there.
Yeah.
Can I ask actually, I guess this isn't gonna be me asking it. So Riot doesn't really allow like any teams to participate, like let's say NRG or Dig or anyone really to participate in any tier 2 events, right? Yeah, I mean personally I think it'd be great. I think that like ideally if Riot wants, they don't have to like back it themselves, but I don't think like teams should really be barred from like joining, right? It's just going to be more publicity overall. It's going to be like more exciting for players because they have like more events to go to. Maybe like those event organizers put a prize pool or be like, hey, if you guys come, we'll pay your organization some money. Just some way to get some extra revenue too. I think it can't really have any negative side or like downsides as long as like it's not being streamed during like LCS as an example.
The only like downside I think you could necessarily say is like the moment that one of them could potentially like grow to be bigger than one of the Riot circuit events, that would probably be like Riot's worry, I think. But I don't think that they would allow for like the prize pot or pool to get to that level where it would rival Worlds. Or
I don't know.
I think that's actually only a good thing, by the way.
If you have, yeah, but like, I mean, yeah, because like if you have like, I don't know, referencing to like EWC, like that brought in, I mean, people have conflicts with obviously the organizer, but the tournament itself bringing another international stage event where you saw EU and NA and LPL and LCK come together. I mean, that was pretty interesting to say the least.
I think one of the downsides that you're not referencing or that you haven't referenced is not just like hey, these could grow bigger, but also it starts to dilute the value of the LCS. Like I think, okay, let's flash back to like 2013, 2014
Okay.
when LCS was first
Yeah.
starting. The concept was like, hey, you get to watch the best teams play exclusively in this league, and then you're going to go watch all that ladders up to these big events. You have a single storyline that runs through that, and like it doesn't get confusing or distracting if you're seeing these teams go and be in other events, which I think was an issue that happened in a lot of the esports leagues at the time, as you had all these teams that were competing in like XYZ league plus this other league and then this event, and some of them wouldn't be in these other things, and it started to kind of create chaos in terms of where's the through line, how do we follow this, and also it devalued each other's events because you know this is supposed to feel really good and really big, but then like for instance, if we saw LCS finals or LCS playoffs and we saw NRG and FlyQuest and NRG beats FlyQuest, and then the week 2 weeks later there's another event where FlyQuest beats NRG, you're kind of in this weird situation where things are getting kind of screwy, right? It's why traditional sports, mostly everything follows like a single line, and there's those teams are not running off and competing in other leagues, or they can't form these other things or whatever. I think that part of the reason why I am more open to your suggestion than I have been in the past is the fact that, here's this Reddit thread that was from 4 days ago. LCS Summer Split started 33 days ago. There's been 6 days worth of games. Like there's so much less LCS than there used to be. And there's a lot more downtime and dead time. We have way less viewers on this episode we normally do, and I noticed that trend line on last week's content too. I was feeling really bad about it and like, oh god, am I doing something wrong? And then I go and look at the LCS YouTube channel, and like the Dive and all sorts of their content has also been tanking because there's just this big break. Now an argument could be, hey, there was a third-party event that happened during that break that was one of the justifications for this break. That is somewhat an argument against third-party tournaments, but I also feel like, you just lose so much momentum with all this downtime that the league has, and all these moments where there's not games happening. And, if you're not going to give people enough of the, competitive North America for the fans to really latch onto, and they lose interest over the split, like at least give them maybe the ability to watch some other events where their favorite teams are playing. So that's where I am like more open to the idea. I expect Palafox, you're just super open to the idea because you're like, I'd love to play more competitive games and also win more money.
No, I just mean like the thing I have against I don't really like Riot Games as a company. Obviously, like I'm employed by them, but
you're not. First off, you're not employed by them. You're employed by.
Sorry.
Yeah,
I'm not employed by Riot Games, but
They're games you're living though.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just think like, to me, it just tells me that like Riot is potentially afraid of like if they're afraid of some other circuit being better than the product that they have, then like, I mean, there's that, but then I just feel like LCS hasn't really grown, and I think a lot of it is like there's so many bad decisions that LCS has made, and more recently, like Mark's coming in has been like I feel like a really good thing, but I don't know. I just feel like I really at least want somebody to show Riot how to actually make a nice viewing experience.
Yeah.
So.
Down.
Massu, what do you think of the idea of additional third-party events?
I think if you look at it kind of in the small picture, of course, like more games, more events is better for both the players, competition, and the fans. But I say that like leniently, better for the players because it can also be worse. I'm not sure. At the same time, I think there's a lot of variables when you put in third-party events, and I'm not sure if any esport does it. I think CS.
Yeah, I mean, there's several esport, like the non-Riot events or non-Riot esports are almost all third-party events.
Yeah, so honestly not sure, I guess, about the deciding factors of whether they should do third-party events or not, because if it does have no drawbacks and it just gives more games for the audience and kind of strengthens competition because people are practicing more, then that could be good. But also, I'm not sure about the drawbacks.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that like where the callers, like where the take started for the caller is the fact that a lot of these seasons will run from the last week of January till the end of July or like mid-August, depending on like for the majority of teams, like that's where your season ends. And if you're a good team, you get to play through October. I think that the schedule, like compared to most sports, is pretty long, but also in sports, you have to take in the physical aspect of it too. I am worried about like too many events diluting things, but like Riot's making room for a third international tournament, and if they let a third party like give a couple bonus tournaments throughout the year, I don't think it would hurt that much, quite frankly. And honestly, like you do have a bit of a allure from like let's say you ran a small tournament that combined LPL and LCK teams and the PCS teams like over on the East Hemisphere. You run a tournament in NA that combines like Brazilian teams, like Latin American teams, NA teams, like whether it's tier 1 or tier 2 for either of those tournaments, there is an allure just from having a different field and a different tournament for some fans. I'm not against it. I just don't think that they should like completely open everything up. And I also think like I was talking to a couple CS people recently, and they said that like the franchise leagues for CS are dead now, and it's all back to tournaments. So for me, like I mean, Travis, you've already talked about how we do have less LCS overall. I think that if that's going to be the case, opening up things up to having a bonus tournament or two with different fields could add a unique allure and actually be good for everyone.
Yeah. One of the challenges I feel like with having it in December, and I'm curious, Masu and Palafox, your thoughts on this, is like, because that's kind of the obvious time, right? Is do something in December because basically from January until like the beginning of November, we have competitive play. There's some tiny breaks here and there where like MSI is happening or whatever, like before summer split starts. But like I think most people would look at December. Rosters don't exist in December in a lot of play situations, right? Or teams are boot camping in Korea, or teams are trying to get visas for their new players that are coming over. So we did the lock-in tournament in January previously, and that became a bit of like a circus where nobody was fielding like a real roster. So do you guys think like, hey, we could still do this even if, how do you solve for that if you're doing these extra events?
I mean, I think you would probably just have a non-Riot official event, so like people aren't being like, hey, this is going to be like all of C9 or all of like one team, and you just like kind of play it out more for fun. But obviously, there's like a serious aspect. People just don't like losing sometimes, So
yeah, because I mean, All Stars existed, and that was like not a very good event, I think, by most people's opinions. I liked it a lot, but that was more because I felt like the experience of being there was really cool. People online didn't really watch it much, so I don't know. Masu, what would you like to see if it was in December?
I mean, honestly, it's a good point with the fact that if there is roster swaps or like you need a off-season buffer, kind of where there's no games happening or no tournament, because it's awkward if say there's like a tournament in December and then 5 players play and then in January you find out like 2 of them got kicked.
Yeah.
Then I'm not sure how that would work.
Jesus. All right.
it is what it is,
Yeah, that would be
Yeah.
tough. That would be tough. All right. Well, I like the idea of there being more events, but I just think the logistics of it can be kind of difficult. So, but maybe the point of having some, tier 2 teams compete with some of the more bottom tier LCS teams. Palafox, didn't you go to an event that was in Brazil?
Yeah, it was super fun.
What was that?
It was it's like Bayano, the streamer.
Yeah.
He throws an event that's kind of like, I think it's supposed to be like the one tricks versus the pro players, and it's like a bunch of Brazilian one tricks versus like Brazilian pro teams, and then and then they invite like an NA LCS team,
Yeah.
and like it's just kind of hype. It's literally just for the region, just for the viewers, and it's just like honestly, it was one of the most fun events I've ever been to. So
Really?
yeah,
Yeah. Well, stuff like that could be cool.
Yeah.
I also just want to add in before the caller leaves that having secondary like tier 2 teams participate in events like this and around this time of year is actually pretty normal. Like with Demacia Cup and Caspa Cup, oftentimes
forgot about those.
players
That's
from
right.
those teams at the same time of year that go on.
Well, maybe
So,
my concerns are unfounded then.
Yeah.
Mr. Fish.
Well, if it's one though, like if you open up the floodgates, then I could see your concerns being legit.
Mr. Fish, thanks for the call. Anything you want to shout out here?
Yeah, of course I got 3 quick ones. Shout out to Esports ECF. Shout out to Palafox for taking an awkward selfie with me when I caught him talking to Tactical at 2022 Worlds. And shout out to Prize Picks because I work for them and love the company. That's a great product. And you should all use code Travis for a deposit match up to $100. So
Wow.
thank you guys so much.
An unknown paid caller. or
Yeah,
a plant
to be
caller.
clear, did not realize that was.
That's pretty
Yeah.
funny.
Thanks so much, Mr. Fish, for the call, and
thanks, Mr. Fish.
thanks to Price Picks
Thank
for
you, guys.
sponsoring. Yeah, thanks. Catch
That's
you later.
funny.
That is funny. All right, we've got time for 2 more callers, I think, before the end of the show. We're grabbing into
please
the
do.
next one. Thank you to Joe Goat for the Prime. Really appreciate it. Thanks to everybody who's been subbing. If you are on Twitch right now, and actually if you're on YouTube, you can come over to Twitch and do this. You can hover your cursor over the screen, and a little crown should pop up. In fact, yeah, there it is. A purple crown pops up on the right side. You can click it. It'll let you know if your Prime sub is available, because Twitch likes to hide that now a little bit. I think they don't like paying out the subs as much. So if you can become a Prime sub, that would be super swell, or a Prime subber, that would be super swell, because Ari's trying to grab those. Hey, finance consultant resubbed with Prime. It worked. We got one of them. So that's good. Cubby's working on grabbing our next caller, and we should be good in a second. Pona says, any primers? Exactly.
Hey, Massu, I kind of have a... Oh, sorry.
Oh,
No, ask. Palafox, go.
Oh, I was gonna say, like, do you have any player that you don't like being, like, if you're scrimming or something, and your teammates are like, oh wow, like this guy is so good, and it's like an 80 carry, right? Do you ever get like, is there like one specific player that ever happens, like that just like kind of triggers you, or no?
I understand what you're talking about. It definitely would, but honestly, my teammates are not easily impressed, to say the least.
Oh, okay.
So I haven't heard much. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Mine's Jensen and JoJo. I get so mad.
Oh, really?
That's funny.
That is funny. Oh, good question, Palafox. Thank you. Hey, Icebreaker is joining. Icebreaker, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Indianapolis again.
Yeah. As an aside, contracts in chat right now says, Jam, JoJo is so good. Look at him win lane. So it's happening right now. All right, Indianapolis. Icebreaker, what do you want to talk about on the show?
Yeah, actually, kind of something about JoJo. On today's the episode of Pros that got released today, I think, or whichever was the newest one, he talked about how he had been spamming ARAMs, and that helped him with some like team fight positioning stuff. I was just curious, like, to get both your thoughts from like either a mid lane or a bot lane perspective. Like, have you ever tried that? Does that help? Like, what's your opinion of that that comment from him?
Oh, I guess I'll go first. Yeah, it definitely helps some team fighting things, but JoJo's laning hasn't really been that good, so he should probably play some more solo queue.
Damn, that just happened. All right, Massu, what do you think of that?
I think there's definitely some merit to it. You have to be like aware of a lot of things on your screen in ARAM, so I could see how it could be useful, but I haven't personally like used it as a team fight learning tool.
I feel like it's like a meme normally whenever you see pro players playing ARAM more than solo queue. It's like, oh yeah, they're just ARAMing with friends, or they're not really practicing. Is there any value there? Like, is this a thing that we should stop pretending, or we should stop saying is just a joke or a way of them wasting time and not practicing?
Dude, the high elo ARAMs, they're Dokla used to play a lot of ARAMs and like he plays a lot of solo queue and ARAMs, right?
Yeah.
But he would literally be selective about who he wants in his ARAMs because he's like, I'm not trying to lose my MMR.
Competitive ARAM. I feel like didn't I hear that Azale plays ARAM somewhat competitively or has like a ARAM MMR or something. I feel like I remember hearing that he was really good at ARAMs or something, but that's kind of funny.
Maybe. I don't know. I mean, I will say that, like, this is the idea. Like, there are sometimes that you'll have people talk about drills a lot because it's something that, like, from traditional sports coaching happens. And the whole point of a drill is that, like, we're going to have a team of basketball players get in the layup line. We're going to have layups and rebounds. So you just get a lot of reps in a condensed amount of time about one specific thing that you're going to work on. In ARAMs, you are always forced to 5v5. Your sums are up more often. You're in a narrow lane. So you are forced to practice some of these interactions where, hey, like, can I maximize my like spacing on Ezreal? Or can I use Lucian like dashes correctly to get out of some certain things? Or like, can I like wait out these cooldowns? So I feel like it's almost like this drill if you take it seriously. But the issue with ARAMs is that pretty much like it's really hard to take it seriously, and you're gonna be in a lot of scenarios that like you just won't be in the game. And also ARAM has its own balance. So like if you're playing Ziggs or Branded ARAM, you just do like 20% less damage and it sucks. But that's how they decided to balance ARAM because they didn't want to balance, they want to balance the game around SR. I don't think that there's anything legitimate to ARAMs outside of I do know teams where the meta is like their warm-up game is they do a team ARAM and then the vibes are good, and that can help.
So, Cubby, you think
sometimes it's
JoJo's
fun
a fraud when he says that he?
Yeah,
uses ARAM
absolutely,
to-
Travis. That's exactly what I said.
You and
yeah.
Palafox just going in on
Yeah.
this guy.
We're gonna give you a great title for this week's Hotline League.
Yeah, JoJo
Panel
the fraud
thinks JoJo
ARAMer.
is a fraud
Yes.
ARAMer. Yeah.
Massu, you've been kind of I know you mentioned it a little bit, but like, do you think there's any value in ARAM? You could say
Personally,
no.
I would say no, but like I like really a small amount. I could see it like a really small amount. Maybe you can like become more focused on certain aspects when you play a team fight out. Maybe it helps in that, but not other than that, I don't think so.
Okay. Well, there we
No,
go.
It is the
that's-
best for ADs, unironically. AD is like actually the best role where I think you can actually kind of practice an ARAM, roughly.
Yeah. I mean, maybe my opinion will change in the future.
Yeah.
As you play more ARAMs. All right.
Yeah, if I do that.
Icebreaker. What do you think? It sounds like people here don't buy JoJo's what he's selling with the ARAMs, his ARAM stonks.
No, his
Yeah.
team fighting has been good though, for real. But his out of team fighting has not really been.
Okay, but yes,
That's some
you think his
volatile
lane's
lanes
bad,
he's been
but
playing
you
out.
also said that you feel like the
Why are they
ARAMs are
volatile?
useless. Palafox. It sounds like you feel
That's
like
what I'm saying.
ARAMs are almost useless.
No, I mean they have their like. I mean, something that a lot of players struggle with is like threat assessment, being like constantly reminding themselves like, hey, they have an Alistar flash Alistar combo. Hey, they have a Nautilus flash hook, right? And like Kevy said, like playing AD carry is like probably the best one, or like even some mages, right? But realistically, like ARAMers aren't going to actually punish you. Like they're just not good enough to.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, Icebreaker. Any shout outs here at the end?
Can I just like respond really quick?
Yeah,
or-
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of agree that like I was kind of surprised where JoJo was saying like his team fighting got better with ARAMs. Like I definitely think if you want to learn like spacings and like how like kind of threat assessment and like how far a champ can touch you from, I think that ARAM can be useful. And like as someone new to League, just having to play like all of the champions and not really getting a choice definitely helped like me as a new player like pick them up. But yeah, from like a pro's perspective, I was kind of surprised that he said that that was actually useful to him. Because when the whole lobby decides to build Heartsteel, just because everyone likes to hear the bonk noise, I can't imagine that that's a super useful training. So, but no,
But
just
the vibes. Vibes
yeah.
are good there. See?
Honestly, full Heartsteel ARAMs, those are the best games. But yeah, just shout out Massu and Palafox for coming on the show tonight. It's
Yep.
been super cool to listen.
Thank you.
Delfino, by the
Thank
way,
you, thank
said Reckless mentioned playing ARAM for team fight mechanics, but said the balance changes make it way worse than before. So I guess that's a
Yeah,
big part of it.
the ARAM balance is awful. They should just get rid of all of it. Ash W is so stupid. But
I mean,
yeah.
I like the balance because when I used to ARAM and the other team had Sona, I was like, cool, go next. Anyway, thanks so much, Icebreaker, for the call, and we'll catch you next time.
yeah, talk to you later.
All right. We got
I
2
like
more
your
callers
cool-
to go.
The cool go next. I enjoyed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I like that. Yeah. All right.
It's
More
very. I
callers.
say it all the time. All right.
I need to
D-Fitch,
be here for the Kia ad, by the way.
You'll be here for the key ad.
Okay.
You're
I'm
always
just
here
making
for
sure.
every ad.
I am, but I actually have more to add with that one. Travis.
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
It's coming up after the next caller. D-Fitch, thanks for resubbing for 8 months. Been subbed for 43 total. And the one and only Corbin, thank you for the 28 months. I really appreciate everybody who does sub. And over on YouTube, you guys are suffering tonight. What's going on over there? Chat's pretty quiet. You guys, we're not seeing many memberships come through. Do I just go back to streaming exclusively on Twitch? Maybe that's what I got to do. Thank you, Nikolai Reese, for the Prime. Hopefully I said that right. Arrow is in the chat. Arrow's trying to bait Massu into saying something. All right.
Wait, what is Sarah saying?
Arrow says arena is real practice. And then he said, Massu, thoughts?
I mean, of course, yeah. That's like actual 2v2, and usually you're against not someone that's not Bob the Builder 34. So
Yeah.
it's not the worst.
Bob the Builder 34.
Arena is fun. I got invited and like played against the St. Louis boys before they won CEDOL, and me and Darkwings, we held our own. We played the Poppy Alistar, you know. That's a pretty banging combo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Caller, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, I'm ppdoc calling from Baltimore, Maryland.
Oh my gosh, your microphone is all over the place right now. I guess I had you at 200% because maybe last week you were quiet or something. You just woke everybody up. All right, ppdoc, what do you want to talk about on the show?
Yeah, simple take. I think Dignitas would be a clear top 3 team with River as their jungler. The only substitution.
All right. River would be a top 3 team with River as their... Wait, sorry. Dignitas would be a top 3 team with River as their jungler is what you said.
Yes.
Okay. Why do you feel this way?
I think just watching mostly the 100 Thieves games, I've just been impressed, not just this split, but past several splits with how decisive River is as a play caller. And he always just seems to see, angles and make plays that you just don't see many other junglers take. And it really seems like that's kind of the main thing. He's not really succeeding on 100 Thieves because he's got a bunch of young players that just don't quite have that killer instinct, that gut instinct. And I think he would really thrive in a situation where he'd be surrounded by veterans that have some of that experience, some of that game knowledge, some of the people that have seen the angles that he's seen or similar angles. And I don't know. I'm not a big Spica fan. I mean, maybe it's hard to know, obviously, if one player is the person to blame for the troubles of a team. But it just seems like they might need a refresh, might need a reboot going in to hopefully a good playoffs. And I think this would be the one sub that I think would kick it up a notch.
Yeah. All right, so you're a Spica hater, and you've decided River is the answer.
Maybe not a hater, just I like the creativity. I think, and the you just got to have the go button that River has, that creativity that he has.
So you're a rat. That's what that's what Spica. For those that remember the episode Spica was on a while ago. All right, so Palafox, you've spoken pretty frankly about your opinions on your LCS compatriots here. What do you think of Spica?
I think he's fine. I think he has some macro issues, but I don't know if they would be a top 3 team. I kind of think Isles sucks too much for them to be a top 3 team, even if they were to get River. But yeah, I don't know. I don't have too much thoughts on this one.
You don't have much of a. You don't think that River joining would do much for them?
That was a pretty strong opinion still. My issue with Dig, I feel like so many of their drafts, like they're just electing to take losing lanes and then kind of praying that like teams mess up into them and then they can come back. I don't think they play. They play from behind okay. I think it's not terrible, but I see a lot of games where like the onus is never really on them to make plays, and then they just kind of get beat, and it feels weird to me with like that team. I like that's the biggest change that I'd make, and I don't know if like I would change players because for me, River is best when he can make like laners that are a bit more volatile, like kind of cash in. And Jensen and Licorice are like the opposite of volatile laners. So I don't know if like River is my swap that I'd have for that team.
Massu.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. Oh, sorry.
No,
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say I think that's a fair point. I mean, I think the point on Isles is that he's the youngest sort of least experienced one on that very experienced team, and I think with a lot of what you see with River is he likes to play these, obviously the Jarvan picks, these picks that set up some of the engage for his teammates. And if you look at some of the plays that he was making in the 100 Thieves C9 series, he just didn't have Ayla like not following up on anything, half the team not following up on anything. And, it didn't take a lot to have Sven just say, hey, go. River saying go, Licorice has that chemistry with him. So I think they just need more of that that playmaking on their team rather than Spica. And maybe this is also a little bit of a take of I'm a big River fan, and I just hate to see him sort of stuck in this 100T roster that doesn't seem to be going anywhere.
Yeah, I mean I do really like River as a player, and I feel like he's able to come in and just really do a lot on a team. I mean, we saw it with Golden Guardians historically. It's hard to understand. Like, it's obviously this is both kind of like a Dignitas and a 100 Thieves take, and the 100 Thieves stuff has been kind of a bummer for me. I really liked watching that team play in spring, and I feel like it's funny because we've had so many calls where we'll talk about Immortals even or Shopify or Dignitas. 100 Thieves I feel like is like there's just not much to say about them right now. They sort of feel, I don't know, irrelevant to the storyline of the league, which is a strange situation to be in.
I also feel like they're a bit allergic to playing winning lanes. But to be fair, that's what gave them the success in spring. But I don't.
100?
Yeah. Oh, oof.
You disagree, Palafox?
I think that they just don't have a good understanding of like fights they shouldn't take. They just take every fight. Yeah. Like, guys, we're against a Renekton. We have a Cassante. Let's not fight the Grubbies at 6 minutes.
They did it twice against C9. I was tilted at that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that 100, honestly, like, it's like they're not too scared to fight. They kind of have the opposite issue of us. It's like they're too open to fighting, even really bad fights. That, and I don't think they're. I don't know. I feel like 100 Thieves bot lane has been underperforming. Maybe Meech can, or not Meech, Massu can speak a little bit more on that.
Definitely, I think they were performing better in spring, and this split they are underwhelming, I would say.
Yeah. What do you make of the broader conversation here, Massu, though, with 100 Thieves?
In terms of like the first question, where swapping.
Yeah, the swap,
River
but also
Spiga?
just in terms of like, what do you think is going on with that team?
With the 100 Thieves?
Yes.
Honestly, like Palafox said, they take every fight, and a lot of the time it's pretty bad fights. And I do think at the moment they also don't really have the, I guess, mechanics to outplay the bad fights that they take. So that makes it even worse. And yeah, in general, they just look a bit uncoordinated. It's kind of like River and Quid doing their own thing, and then the other three maybe trying to catch up. I'm not sure.
Could River save Dignitas?
I personally don't think so, just because like with the players on Dignitas, it's hard for me to believe that swapping Speaker for River would change anything, because I feel like having such an experienced roster in itself, you should be able to kind of you should be able to resolve your issues no matter what jungler you kind of have, unless your jungler is that bad, which I don't think that Speaker is. So yeah, I think it's more of a team issue that they have, and I think swapping one player won't resolve it. So yeah.
All right, ppdoc. It seems like people don't buy what you're selling.
Yeah, I mean, I teach their own. I mean, I think to the point of experience with the Spica and the rest of Dig. I mean, maybe my issue with him isn't necessarily so much experience, but more just the play style, and maybe that I mean, River and Liquor should play together. They've got some some coordination, and I think maybe that play style might work a little bit better as a pairing. But it's hard to know. You probably won't know, but I'm just a big River fan, and I hate to see him in sort of 100T jail right now.
Yeah, well, that's fair. Anything you want to shout out here?
No, shout out to you guys, Travis Kelsey, Travis Cubby, sorry, and Travis Kia, other sponsors from Travis, and shout out to the stream. Hopefully Twitch can get some of those Prime subs going, give some subs. Everybody gift a little bit. Be nice tonight, send some gifts everywhere, so send some presents to random people you never met.
Thank you. That's very generous of you, and I do appreciate the sentiment. So thank you so much for the call, and we'll catch you next time. All right. Before we go into our final... Oh, it looks like somebody left the waiting room. You're going to have to hunt them down, Cubby.
No, I got them.
Okay.
We've tried this caller the last 2 calls, and the audio hasn't been working. We're going to hope it works on try 3. Yeah.
Well, before we go into our break, I do want us to officially announce our new segment for the show, which is called Zoomer Definitions, where we ask a Zoomer to define a term. And this week's candidate is Massu. So Massu, in the Twitch chat, people have been saying that, quote, your face card is not declining. They're saying this about you, Massu. Can you please explain what it means when someone says your face card is not declining?
I'm not too sure.
You're not too sure.
I
Okay,
don't know
thank
about
God.
this one.
I feel like I didn't know what it was, but people were saying it to you, and I was hoping you could define it and explain it. But
I've definitely heard it before.
okay, what is the yelling in the background?
Who is it?
Mark said apparently it means that he's handsome. So
Okay,
yeah,
all right.
Oh, thank
There
you.
we go.
yeah.
Well, regardless,
Congrats, Masu.
yeah,
Thank
we've now learned a new term. All right. Anyway, we're gonna get into our ad break for the show, which is none other than Kia. Thank you so much to Kia for sponsoring the show. We've really enjoyed having the EV9 for the past week, and I loved taking it out to Vegas for Evo. We had a great time. That car is just super comfortable, has amazing features. I found out that it has a fingerprint reader in it, at least in the GT line that I was driving, where you can set a profile for how you like things. You get in, you put your finger there to the fingerprint reader, and it adjusts everything. It recognizes you as a driver. So there's just like tons of awesome, cool technology like that. It was super great. But last week I took Cubby out to lunch, and Cubby got to take a ride in it. What did you think of the EV9?
It was really nice, actually. Like the only electric car experience I've had is I spent some time in like the original Tesla that was released, and that like was kind of jolty just because of how electric cars work, like the bunch of technology behind the gas car and how smooth the ride is. I didn't feel that way in the Tesla, especially in the backseat. But I was like really surprised how smooth it was, and I appreciated the fact that it had seat coolers. It was a really nice ride.
Yeah.
Very LED and tech heavy, which I know you were a fan of, Travis.
Yeah, it's just such a beautiful interior and so comfortable. I really recommend that everybody check out the EV9 if you're in the market for a new vehicle, take a look at it, especially that GT line, which was super cool. I'm so jealous that
really nice.
I'm so sad that I had to pass it back to them today. I was like, no, this has been so fun, and getting around in Vegas, we had a couple times where we had six dudes that were all, we were going out to dinner after one of the Evo days, and everybody was able to fit in the car so comfortably with that third row. And then, going out there, we had so much cargo space for a bunch of suitcases, and we were bringing out some camera gear and all this stuff. And that was awesome because then we were able to put that third row down. Again, the vehicle itself is just filled with amazing technology. We're driving through the desert, and it's incredibly hot outside. We've got the ventilated seats. It's just an amazing ride, and able to charge on the way there, on the way back, and just overall had a really great time. So again, thank you to Kia for supporting the LCS. They also support, for instance, NRG. So Palafox joining us as another rep of the Kia sponsorship. But they've been an amazing partner. Really love working with them and having some early conversations. We're going to see if we can do something cool with them at LCS Finals. Probably not supposed to say that, but we'll see what's up. It's just cool. They've reached out. They've been really proactive. They've been fantastic. So thank you so much to Kia for sponsoring Hotline League. All right, we got one more caller in the waiting room. ppdoc in the chat, who's just calling, says that they have an electric vehicle already, but they need to get a bigger car because they've got a second kit on the way. Congratulations. They're going to go take a look at the EV9. Fantastic. Love to hear it. All right. We're grabbing our last caller of the evening, and then the show will be winding down. Thank you to Icebreaker Mints over on YouTube for gifting a membership. That's very generous of you. I really appreciate that. See, Twitch chat was really excited about our new segment where we talked about Zoomer terms and Zoomer definitions with Zoomers. So fantastic. Thank you for all of that support, Twitch chat. All right, Longbow's here. Longbow, where are you calling from?
Yeah, I'm calling from the Seattle area, which I know you're up here a lot, and I really wish I was into Magic because I'd see you all the time, I'm sure.
Yes, that's true. I was at Mox not too long ago, so had a great time. But yeah, what do you want to talk about?
Yes, I just want to preface this by saying I am not a plant. I'm not hired by Travis Gafford Industries, but my take is that threes really are a scam.
Best of threes?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Just to be clear, I did not know that this caller was coming in. Cubby chose this caller, so
This is fan service to end the night, Travis.
all right, yeah.
Just for you.
All right, why do you think best of threes are a scam?
Yeah, so I think best of threes haven't been able to give us enough games to really gauge the strength of teams, and I think Riot has done a very poor job of showing how teams are ranked based on their total games and not just their matchups. I have a note on my phone to help me keep track of who is in what position when teams are tied because they're very not transparent about where teams rank up. And also because the long breaks, it feels like we've had so few games stretched across such a long season. And simultaneously, this feels like the longest season I've ever seen. And yet, at the same time, like, I haven't seen any games at all.
All right. I think a lot of people know how I feel about this take. Oh, there's some parts I agree with it and some parts I don't. But I'm going to pass this off over to the pro players because I know the pros love best of threes more. Massu, what do you think of best of threes so far, and what do you think of the caller's take here that they're a scam?
I'm a big fan of best of threes personally. I think it just makes the games a lot more hype. It makes the games a lot more creative and like flexible in terms of draft. You don't actually just play one game if you got like a quote unquote unlucky draft and then you don't have another chance, but you can actually like adapt on the next game. So that's nice. And for me personally, I do think it is a more accurate showing of a team's strength, best of threes, than a best of one. So I don't agree with that part.
Do you want to follow up here, Longbow?
Yeah, just to muddy the water a little further for you, Travis, Meteos brought up a really interesting idea on the dive. And I know some people aren't a fan of best of twos, but the way he worded it was if you look at it like a doubleheader of playing two games against the same team, then perhaps you'd be able to be able to have a double round robin, because then the scheduling isn't flexible in such a way that threes makes it, that Riot would be able to anticipate how many games are being played each day.
Yeah.
And if only they used best of twos in a format in the ecosystem, and
I mean, it's a
took
ridiculous
advantage of
statement.
that perk.
Yeah,
Right,
I
right,
think that
Massu?
there's good arguments for
Yeah.
best of two, but from a practical perspective, it doesn't feel
Yeah.
good enough to have it. So like,
Yeah.
like in my opinion, it doesn't really matter how much you can justify best of twos, because people watch things based off of how they feel, and I think most people would watch best of twos and feel very dissatisfied. So-
A caller, did you say that Meteos was using that to argue that you could have a double round robin, because then you could have 3 games a day?
Yeah,
Or 6 games a day? Was that his argument?
the idea was just treating it like a doubleheader. So you just play against the same team twice, and both games count toward the overall total. So it's less about your individual matchups and more about your total games, which makes the ranking a lot more clear.
But okay, so he's arguing for a double round robin, as in you just play everyone once and it's a best of 2 instead of a best of 3.
No, so like each
So
time
you're
you play a
best
team,
of 4. You're playing it 4 times. Like you're playing a single team 4 times within the calendar.
yes.
Okay. So I mean, if that's the case, Travis, like you just have more LCS games, which would be a positive. I think that the best of 3s are already a positive. Just the fact that we have more games this split. I actually, I mean, I don't mind that. I think a double round robin with best of 2s would. I would trade that for a single round robin of best of 3s. I know a lot of fans would disagree, but I'll take the more games. And I do think that best of 2s are still a very fair way to compete. Because, again, if you have a patch, which can happen a lot in League, where blue side is heavily favored, like 60, 65% win rate, each team gets one choice of side, which I think is nice. But, yeah.
All right.
I
Anyway,
just
back
think
to
the
the real
break has killed
conversation,
this.
which is best of
Yeah.
threes, because best of twos are a distraction. Palafox, are you still a best of 3 believer?
I mean, the argument's a little bit scuffed from the start. No, it's like you get 7 best of 3s versus what is it? 4 times 7, 28 games. Like,
Yeah.
it's just like, of course you would take best of 2s if that was the format, but like the best of 3 should just be it should just be 14 best of 3s.
We're not
right?
talking about best of twos. Don't let that get distracted. What do you?
Not best
Wow.
of-
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So best
Am I
of
still best-
threes. What do you
Oh,
think
yeah,
is
of
best
course.
of threes?
Best of 3s are just better. Obviously, like, I think the way that we're doing best of 3s this split is not really that ideal, especially for our even like team ranking, because like we didn't get to choose blue side until this Shopify match.
Wait, for real?
Is that
Yeah,
true?
we didn't get side select until this match.
Wow, that's actually wild. I mean, at least you'll get
Um,
hopefully get side select for your
get
bigger
side
matches
select-
coming up.
Yeah, for 2 more matches. But the thing is that the side select was chosen off of how well you guys did last split. So, because there's only
Interesting.
7 games, right? So it's like you're gonna have 3 first choices and then 4 not, or some teams will have 4 and other teams will have 3, right? But that's just like, it's the first split of this being the format. So obviously it's gonna be probably a little scuffed.
Yeah.
Haven't most of the games this season been basically best of 2s anyway?
There have been some 3 gamers. NRG is responsible for a couple. There was
Well,
I mean,
one,
this
I
past
think.
week in
Yeah,
the
for
Dig
one.
Team Liquid game I guess it would have been 1-1 if it was a best of 2, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it did go to 3 games.
Yeah.
So it does happen. FlyQuest and these two guys played against each other and had 3 games.
It would have been a 1-1 as well. Honestly, our standing would be pretty sick in a best of 2.
I mean, anything that
Yeah.
goes to 3 games would have been a 1-1, right? But yeah, it's look, at this point in time, I'm happy people are feeling good about best of 3s. Like, it is a good positive sentiment for the league. I feel mostly the same way I did several months ago about this topic, which is a lot of days the games feel not that great because they just are like super stomps. And I don't like that we've played so few matches by this point in time where we're already more than halfway done with the league. Like, I would be more in favor of best of threes if we had a double round robin, but if you are going to do single round robin, I would rather see teams face each other twice. Like, it's so annoying to me that Cloud9 and FlyQuest don't face each other until August 11th. And I'm pretty sure when was the last time you guys played Cloud9, Massu? It was like
I actually
March.
don't even remember.
I think it was like March or something like that, you know, maybe April.
Yeah. It's been a long time.
So, like, it does not feel as though it's done a lot for viewership either. I mean, I'm thinking about doing a video tomorrow just looking at the viewership. Interestingly enough, viewership did not drop a ton from what I can tell looking at like Twitch over this past weekend, but that's because it dropped a ton doing Thursday, Friday, which was the week 3, and so we basically maintained on the weekend. We did as bad as we did on Thursday, Friday, which was a huge drop from the Saturday, Sundays before.
That doesn't have to do with like best of threes. That has to do with like
yeah.
I mean, that's the one thing. Like, Palafox, when you guys won your split, you had a short split because of the player walkout. Like, it delayed everything. Like, we had the full sprint of 6 weeks of 3 games a day. Like, I feel like that added a lot of excitement to the league with how fast things were moving. Like, were you a fan of that?
I mean, I think it was just like normal. I don't know.
Okay.
I didn't really care about like the frequency of the games because it's like kind of fair playing field for everybody.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I just think like from a fan perspective, like it was all moving so fast. Like, we had 3 games a week for all these teams that, I feel like there was just more to latch onto. I mean, if we took a 3-week break in the middle of the season and have nothing going on like that,
yeah,
no one wants to do that for their league, and we've had that both splits, which is just kind of stunk for everyone. Like, for like these guys and from the fan perspective too. I also, like, on a slightly different note, actually have started to craft a working theory. I think one of the reasons we had a caller last week, Travis, that said this is the strongest top 3 that LCS has ever had. I actually think the best of 3s play into this. Because I feel like I have a much stronger opinion on teams and their strengths and weaknesses and what they do, just given that they play best of 3s.
Oh, 100%. But I knew that we talked about that before the start of the split.
Yeah, we did.
That was how it was going to go. And, like, I don't know if that is good or bad, honestly. Like, I think there's advantages and disadvantages, but wasn't there... I think Pros was talking about if this is like a 3-team league, and that is obviously going to be the case whenever you do best of 3s, because it's just going to be so clear who the top and bottom teams are, which I worry actually makes the league feel like, I get that it is an illusion when you have best of 1s making the league feel closer than it is, but like, that illusion might make for a more entertaining or palatable league. I don't know. I get that I'm shouting into the void here and getting more unsubscribes by the second as I say that I'm still a best of 3 skeptic, but there's not, like, there have been some really cool days. Like, I actually do think like the TL Dig series was interesting and it was fun to see TL bleed and all that, but I don't know if I feel like that offsets a lot of these other series and or days where, like, I just feel like people probably don't care about the entire day's worth of matches. So I don't know. I'm not a big fan. Caller, I appreciate your take though. Anything you want to add to any of our discussions here?
Yeah, I just was curious what your guys' thoughts are on how Riot has displayed different teams' rankings and kind of made that more unclear, because we only have 7 games total for each team to play.
I mean, Palafox and Massu, do you...
7 series.
Do you pay attention much to how the rankings are displayed? Not really?
Not
really.
That's what I figured. I don't know. I definitely think... Actually, I need to go check, because I know for a while the way they were displaying them, even just like the graphics package, was really rough, on social media and stuff, where they had the giant banners. I think they've... Okay, this one from yesterday looks a little bit better. where they're ranking all the teams and showing their like scores, but for a casual viewer, I still don't understand. It says like, for NRG, 4th,
4081.
2-2, 5-4. Like, it is kind of confusing, I think, for casual people to see the way that they're displaying this stuff. So I don't know. What are your frustrations specific with it, caller?
Well, for one, that whole graphic is not displayed on their LOL esports site. So, if that is the official standard, it's not being made very clear, and that makes it kind of difficult for people such as myself who are fans and are trying to watch and get excited about where their team sits in the ranking. And so if your messaging on it is unclear, it feels a bit disorganized.
Yeah, the LoL esports standings page only shows the match wins and losses. It doesn't show games wins and losses. So I think that's fair. Yeah. Cubby, did you have something you were going to chime in on?
I think it's somewhat intuitive. I don't have that much of a complaint over the standings. I actually wish that we knew from the start, though. Like, I can't tell you what tiebreaker scenarios are, like whether it's going to be game score or head-to-head, and like what the order is. So I actually wish that it was a little bit more transparent, that like someplace I could find it. Because that will come into, like, this is going to be a close split, just given that, you only play 7 series. There's going to be, I think, a tiebreaker of some sort, and I'm curious how that gets solved. I don't know the answer.
Yeah. I don't know either. Well, either way, thank you so much. Anything you want to shout out here at the end, caller?
Yeah, just shout out to Cubby for dealing with all of my mic issues, and shout out to my wife for dealing with me constantly talking about League.
Yeah. Thanks so much for the call, and we'll catch you next time.
Thank you.
Well, I believe that is the show. So we can do a round of shout outs and plugs here at the end. Cubby, what do you want to shout out? What do you want to plug?
Shout out to Travis for grabbing me for lunch and introducing me to Ding Tai Fung this past week. Those dumplings were delicious.
Yeah, Din Tai Fung is legit.
Yeah, we had a good time walking around the mall and with some boba and just kind of chatting and chilling. Let's see, shout out to House of the Dragon for being good television during the split. And then shout out to these guys for coming on. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Always fun when players come on. I know it's your guys' Monday night and your day off, so appreciate you guys taking time out to talk to the callers. I know they appreciate it a lot. So yeah, good to see you both. And best of luck this split to each of you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Dude, actually, I see somebody in the chat. ppdoc is saying Dozone in Seattle is better. I had Dozone recently, and I was like, damn, that was actually pretty legit. I like Dozone. Good. But I do think I prefer Din Tai Fung. I appreciate the variety of Dozone a little bit more. So, yeah. Massu Delfino in the chat is desperately trying to get on the show to talk to you. Should you can make the call? Do I drag her in?
If she has a take, I don't know.
Because I feel like you know this person, or at least that's how they're perceiving it. So I don't. Do you know who Delfino is?
Yes, roughly.
Roughly, okay. And
From Twitter, yeah.
And do you think she should get on the show?
If she has a take, yeah.
Okay.
I don't see a take.
She's not in the Discord, and
quick.
she's not in one of the caller things, so I can't really pull her in.
Yeah.
Palafox, you want to do your shout outs or plugs?
Shout out to you guys. Thank you for letting me come on the show. It was always fun. Shout out to my girlfriend Katie for also kind of putting up with me while I'm on the show.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all.
Is Katie Oat Cows, by the way?
Yeah.
Because she's blasting my take right now that Dozone has variety, and I feel like Dozone had a lot of variety. So I will rescind your shout out to Katie because I really enjoyed the variety of Dozone. So there we go.
I'm sorry.
I'm gonna pull Delphi into the on air right now to figure out what's up. Delfino's on the show. Delfino,
Hi.
Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from currently Atlanta, Georgia.
Atlanta, Georgia. What do you want to talk about on the show?
So my take, so I had to come up with a take really fast, but I did actually think about this for a fair bit. It's a counter take that I think Best of Threes has made the league so much more entertaining to watch. Like, so much more entertaining to watch. Like, I think I've watched more LCS weekends this year than last year, which is like crazy because I was like watching basically every week last year. But like, I don't know, the Best of Threes are just like are so fun to watch. Like to watch teams like not just like have a bad draft or like a bad early game and just like completely throw the game or like completely like lose the game and just not have another chance to play. I think Best of Threes has made LCS more entertaining. Like for example, what was it? The TL game I want to say versus Dig, where Dig just completely lost game one, like miserably. Like 4 kills in the first 6 minutes lost. But then the second game was more entertaining. But like if it was just best of ones, we would have had that first game, which would have been like a remake in scrims, and then we just like go away from the game feeling disappointed, right? But then like it was an actual competitive game in the second game, and that was way more fun to watch than just another match right after that. That's my take.
All right. Counterpoint. In previous years where it was best of ones, you were a lot more active as a fan, and you used to tune into the show and you engage more with the league. And so it feels like with best of threes this year, your engagement with the league has actually gone down, and fan engagement should be the biggest priority for the league.
Okay.
It's a lot of flame.
Okay. Well, okay. There's multiple reasons. First, I was focusing really hard on school. I took a lot of credits in the spring semester, which made it really hard to consistently watch LCS and engage a lot with content and things on Twitter. Second,
do you have classes in the summer?
Huh?
Do you have classes in the summer?
Spring semester, like the first.
Yeah. So I'm just saying, this is the first time I've seen you pop up, and we're towards the end of July.
I mean, honestly, like I've been working, and I've been pursuing other hobbies. I've been playing sports. I've been going to the gym. Like I've been working on myself, you know.
LCS
but like,
is not a priority for you in this best of three system.
No, that's not true. That's not true.
Okay.
LCS did take a little bit of a backseat, but the only reason not the only reason, but one of the main reasons that I still tune in is because best of threes are more fun to watch than best of ones. Because I can guarantee you right now, if there was best of ones, I most likely would not be watching the league like at all.
Okay.
And I will say, I was in call with my friends and we're all in chat earlier. My friends who are very casual viewers now also agree that best of threes has made them tune into the league more.
That best of threes. Okay. So you're casual friends. So a survey of it. Yeah, I feel like I wish that was reflected in the viewership of the league this summer, that more casual people were tuning in, because that would feel kind of good. Did you have a question for Massu, though? Because you kept saying, let me talk to Massu, let me talk to Massu. Travis, please let me talk to Massu. So did you have any questions for him specifically?
Well, I wanted to come on here and set the record straight about the Zoomer lingo or whatever you called it. Okay. Yeah. Face card. I was the one in chat saying face card, by the way. Face card means that someone is looking good. Not specifically that they're just hot. It means that they're looking their best. Okay. And if somebody's constantly looking their best, that means their face card is never declining. It's not just like, oh, this person's hot. Okay. It's they're consistently looking their best.
Okay. Did you have a question for Massu?
You should answer your Discord DM about the profiles.
All right. I'll catch you later, Delfino. Thank you for the call.
Wait. Can I have a shout out?
Sure. What do you want to shout out?
Can I shout out Oscar Piastri, who just won his very first Formula One race at the Hungarian Grand Prix?
He won?
Yes, he won. Oscar won. Number 81.
Wow.
My goat.
Wow.
What I'm saying.
That's
incredible.
That's not expected.
Okay, thank you for my last minute call. Bye, Travis. Bye, Cubby. Bye, Massu. Bye, Palafox.
Bye-bye.
Dad.
Massu?
I actually can't believe that the secondary McLaren car won.
Just remember that I gave you the option to deny that from happening. It's not my fault. You had the call on that one. All right, that's the show. Massu, I did not give you a shout out yet or a plug. I gave Cubby and Palafox. So what do you want to shout out or plug?
Yeah, just thank you to you guys for inviting us. Palafox is a pretty chill guy. Maybe we won't cancel scrims next time.
Oh,
I'm joking. And just yeah, shout out to I guess all my teammates and my past teammates.
yeah, very good. For me, shout out to both Massu and Palafox for coming on the show. It was really fun having both you guys on. It's always really nice when we get pro players on that can chat with each other and help us with these conversations that we're going through. Shout out to Kia for loaning me the EV9. Really enjoyed that. Shout out to NZXT and shout out to Prize Picks, by the way. Please go if you've been thinking about signing up for Prize Picks, please give it a try and make that first time deposit. It really does help the show. Only do it if you're in a position to do so and you feel like you can do so responsibly. But thank you to Prize Picks. Thanks everyone for the show. Looking forward to talking to you all again next week as we get closer and closer to playoffs and things start to heat up in the league. We're already more than halfway through the LCS, so catch you all next week. Bye.